podcast. That was a good one.
That was good.
That was a good intro.
No cuts.
Everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, we know what they're going to talk about today. Hello.
All right. Hello and welcome back to My Best Friends and Engineer podcast. I'm Lexi.
And I'm Libby. And we have a treat for you today.
Today we had another interview with DesignedbyBlythe.
And she is actually going to school right now for architecture. So that was a really cool interview. I don't know anybody. Do you know anybody, Lexi? I don't know anybody else in my personal life that did architecture.
I have absolutely no idea, but you know what I do know about architecture?
Zilch.
The architecture building at Miami was so pretty. I don't know if you ever went in there.
It was so pretty.
Do you remember?
We always used to be like, let's go study in the architecture
And I think we did once, and it was so cool. It was just the library was super quiet. I remember it was a very small library, but then they had what she was talking about with the studio space. I remember that, and it was so cool, and I was like, ah. And then they had stained glass windows, and I was just like, oh my god, this is like a little church. I was like, let me pray for my grades. Let me pray and study.
My boyfriend freshman year of college was actually we dated in high school.
Oh.
And he was architecture
At Miami?
He used to. No, he didn't go to Miami.
Oh, okay.
From Bigfoot High, and he used to walk around with his little papers under his arm, but then I dumped him. So that's the only other experience I had with architecture.
So that was an awesome conversation, though. We learned so much, and she also is a small business owner, just like Libby B on the label. So that was so cool to hear.
And DesignedbyBlythe, she's got some t-shirts, sweatshirts, Casetify collab.
Yeah. She is a girl boss.
Casetify collab.
Stay tuned. She has a line coming out with Casetify on February 24th, so coming soon. So
by the time people listen to it, I think, right?
No, it's next Thursday. So we are filming this on the 18th, so they have a little bit of suspense. Yeah, they can wait a few days and they'll be like, ooh.
They have some suspense, but they better be repping to support our guests that we have on.
Yes. So how's your week? Should we do a little week
recap? Let's do a little weekly update. It's been good. My outage started on Monday, and it's going okay. You know, the thing with these power plant projects is you can never expect one to go completely smoothly. There's always going to be something that happens. And something happened. I won't go into much detail, but essentially we thought things had been ordered and they hadn't been ordered. And so that was great.
That's awesome.
This is a little painful, and I think it will probably be painful until April. But
a perfect start to your week, if I say so myself.
We're smiling through the pain, but you know what? A positive is that I reached out to our marketing manager, and I'm going to visit the customer's power plant in Florida in 2 weeks.
Amazing.
And I was like, hey girl, I really want to wear a polo or a company work shirt, because all the sales guys have all these fancy polos, and while I do like wearing my pink golf polo, sometimes I feel like I could, rep the company a little better. So I reached out to her with very low expectations, and I was like, yeah, just wondering if we have the capabilities to embroider, because I would love to get a Nike golf women's cut shirt and not wear a boxy, just crappy button-up polo type situation that all the men had. So not that they're crappy, they're great quality, but so she responded and she was like, actually, we do have a few women's shirts. And I was like, what? Mind blown. So I got a cool women's shirt out of it.
Perfect.
For my work trip.
Good.
Right.
You get a new attire. You gotta maybe go by the beach. Probably not, though. It seems like you're gonna be very busy. But you can look at it, probably, hopefully.
We might. The trip that we went there last year, actually, the sales guy that is in charge of this power plant, we did end up going to the beach.
Really?
Just me and him. Just me and him. And I had not brought a swimsuit. So when he was like, do you want to go to the beach later? I was like, So I walked down to the Ron John surf shop that was by the hotel, and I got the most appropriate bikini that I could find in
Excellent.
there. Because I was like, what are you supposed to wear to the beach with your coworker? So, anyway, the long and the short of it is, I almost got eaten by a shark because we took this random person's boogie board and we were boogie boarding in the ocean, and everybody was running out of the ocean, and I was like, where are all these silly people running? There was a shark.
Oh my god. You're just like on the boogie board,
yeah,
you're like...
I was like, oh wait, that's I think that's the chicken dance.
Yeah,
the boogie song, the boogie board song. That was me out there. And so, yeah, maybe. We'll see. That'll be in 2 weeks, so hopefully I'll have an update for the podcast on how the work trip goes.
Excellent. Can't wait to hear.
That was my week. How about yours?
It was good. I was actually remote most of the week, so I feel like I kept talking about, oh my god, I'm on site so often, and everyone's like, do you really work from home? Yes, this week I did. So it was so good. I actually was able to catch up on so many projects of different sites, so that was kind of good. But other than that, it was just very, very chill. Nothing too crazy. Nice. Nothing on fire. Actually, one aspect of the validation did fail, so we're going to have to rerun part of it. So I'll be back on site Monday. But, you know, that's just the name of the game. You gotta deal with it as they come. But yeah, not too crazy. Professional
problem solvers over here.
Oh yeah.
That's just us.
Walking over to the surf shop, getting my appropriate bathings.
Yeah, right? Oh my god. I can't even tell you how embarrassed I felt when we went to the beach, and I don't know what, like, I don't know. It's just, I never thought that I'd have to be in a bathing suit in front of my coworker.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. I'd be like, I can't swim. Sorry, I'm just gonna stay home.
I can't swim. I don't know how. I'm allergic to the sun. Well, it's okay though, because now him and I are homies, and I'm like, I feel like I want to be like a bro, you know, with all the project members, because they're all used to all men, and then I'm like, I'm coming in.
I'm here.
I want to be your bro.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to read out some reviews that we got?
Yeah, and this is from I think these are from our spreadsheet, right? Or our survey?
Yes, our survey, which is in our Instagram bio. Go check it out, and it'll tell you more about it. I won't go through this spiel again.
We'll leave it up to, it'll be a mystery.
Yes.
We'll leave the mystery in this episode. If you want to go check it out, you gotta hit the link, and you gotta see what it's all about. Okay, this person in their survey submission said, loving the podcast so far, so real, and brings up topics that sometimes me and my female engineer friends who are in the same company are not comfortable talking about. Smiley face.
Perfect.
I love that.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about them. All things.
We'll gossip with you. Well, that's awesome. I'm just glad that people can listen to us and feel comfortable, and hopefully laugh a time or two when they listen to our voices.
Awesome. Well, this person said, loved the civil engineering perspective. As a young female civil engineer in transportation, it was awesome to have some representation. A topic on work attire would be fun. Well, that is awesome to hear. That was about our last interview. If you haven't listened, it's Vanessa, who is a civil engineer and told us all about her experience. And I also agree. An episode just about work attire would be excellent, and I'm sure we could fill an hour talking about that.
Oh yeah.
So we'll add that to the list.
Oh yeah. We will add that to the list. And speaking of that, I'm really glad that they liked that we had the civil engineering perspective on. I feel like if our listeners, if there is a engineering discipline or something in a male-dominated field that you want to hear us talk about or you want us to bring on, please tell us, because I feel like even talking to Blythe in this episode about architecture, they were like, you don't know what you don't know, you know?
Exactly. You know? Me every day. Yeah, I had so many questions that came up just from what she was talking about. Like, we obviously have questions prepped, but there were so many other things that came up that were so exciting to learn about.
I think we have one more announcement.
So one more announcement. So we usually go on our spiel about the survey and the spreadsheets and the trackers, but now we have a new addition to My Best Friend's an Engineer, and it is a Facebook group page. So we thought...
A community!
Yes. We thought it would be so fun to have we have the Instagram page, we have, these reviews, we kind of have these little side channels, I guess, the YouTube as well. Mm-hmm. But I think the Facebook, it's just much easier to talk with, people, and maybe you guys could talk to each other and connect with other engineers and just kind of start these conversations. Kind of like, I guess, a little Reddit. It's just much easier to talk to other people on it versus the Instagram comments of, posts. So...
Yeah, and it'll be like a safe little community where if you have a question about, for example, if you are starting your first day of work and you don't know if your outfit is appropriate, you could totally, if you feel comfortable, take a picture of your outfit and put it in the group and be like, hey, can you guys let me know if this is good for my first day of my job? I feel like I would have loved to do that.
I know. I would have loved to have that. I feel like I just texted people on the side. And then a lot of them, they just weren't engineers. And they're like, okay, yeah, that looks normal.
They were like, you look fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
So hopefully you guys are as excited about this as we are. And so we'll probably have an Instagram post with all that information. And then we'll see if we can put it in our Instagram bio, the link to the page, or if that survey kind of takes it up. We'll
I think we need one of those link tree things or something where you can link multiple links.
Good.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. So hopefully we have that all set by this Monday when this comes out.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested in joining the Facebook community, we're gonna have a thread started where if you feel comfortable, just introduce yourself. Say your name, what your major is. Maybe what region of the country you're from, and hopefully we can find some friends and connect together in there.
Definitely.
Without further ado,
interview time.
Let's get to it. All right, welcome everybody to the podcast. Today we have on an awesome guest. Please introduce yourself, say your name, where you're from, what industry you are in, what you're getting your degree in, all the good stuff.
Okay, hi, I'm Blythe. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I'm 22. I'm in my 4th year of studying architecture here at Ohio State, and I have a minor in fashion and retail.
Ooh, that's awesome. Yeah. So fun.
Wait, Columbus, fellow Ohio.
I was just going to say.
Oh, yeah. Miami U, yeah, very close.
What's the, oh, go ahead, Lexi.
I was just going to say we played you guys in football once. I remember that.
Oh, really?
We were leading for 2 minutes of the game. I remember that was the biggest thing ever at Miami because we're just so bad. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I think we overlapped in school when that happened, and I remember that game because we were like, oh my gosh.
I think we always end up winning for 2 minutes, and then it just goes downhill from there.
Yeah, it was so funny.
Amazing. So architecture, I did not realize you had, did you say fashion merchandising minor?
Yeah, just fashion and retail. So it's
retail,
the design side of fashion and a little bit of the business side.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
I could totally I could tell by your Instagram. Your designs are so cute. I keep looking through them.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I added the minor on this year. So very late, but fun.
Okay, so what made you want to add that minor?
Well, the first thing was just from high school, I came in with a lot of credits, so I wanted to fill my time with something a little bit more meaningful than just random classes. So I just decided to add the minor on, and I had already taken some fashion classes, so it was super easy.
What inspired you to do architecture in college? Were there any classes that you took in high school that kind of got you interested in architecture, or had you already always known that you wanted to do architecture? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so it was kind of one of those stories where in elementary school I was always I'm gonna be an architect when I grow up, and I probably didn't even know what that meant, but I would just doodle all these buildings and stuff, and just loved it so much. Then went to high school and I was I'm gonna go into physical therapy. Just randomly. You know how you just have that crisis in high school?
Oh, yeah.
Where you're this is my dream. And then senior year I was what the heck? And I just decided definitely architecture because I hate science. I don't know why. Like, I'm definitely more on the side of like engineering and math and STEM, not science for sure. So very happy with where I am. But I had a very like traditional high school experience. Like we kind of just had the basic classes, you know. So, but definitely a math girly. So
very good.
We love those.
Yes, I feel like there's different types of like STEM classes. So you have like the memorization classes, like which is like chem and like bio, and then you have like the engineering side where you actually have to like apply other concepts to actually figure it out. But very cool. So what would you say is the main difference between your fashion classes and your architecture classes that you really kind of like?
yeah, so I'd say like with my fashion classes so far, they're kind of, well, obviously since it's a minor, it's more surface level stuff, but definitely on the more like business and design side, just like aesthetics, whereas with architecture, it's like not only does it have to look good, but it has to make people feel something, and it has to actually like be built. Like with fashion, you can be a little bit more lenient with that, but obviously architecture, there are higher stakes going on, so definitely like the structural elements and the problem solving is like a huge difference.
So for someone who like has no idea what's all involved with getting an architecture degree, can you kind of give like an overview of like the different buckets or like things that your classes are on? Like, are you
Yes.
doing a lot of structural things, math things, aesthetics? Like, explain that to us.
Yeah, so I'd say it definitely depends on what college you go to, and it's definitely something you should like look at when you want to study architecture is like, do I want to go to school that focuses more on structure or design? I'd say my school has a very good blend, but we're very theory based, so we study a lot of history and like the meaning of what architecture is. So we focus a lot on human experience, which is something I really love because I've always had an interest in psychology and stuff. But basically what we learned in like our entry class about like what exactly architecture is like it's a mesh between like, so there's city planners who plan like a layout of the city large scale, and then landscape architects who are maybe focusing on like a chunk of the city and parks and stuff like that, and then the architect is focusing on like the actual building, so structure, everything you can see, rooms, all the fun stuff, facade, materials. So we learn a lot of stuff about different materials you can use, how different spaces make people feel, which type of staircase will be best for like, we get hyper specific with things like down to designing what the toilets are going to look like in the bathrooms. Like,
Oh my gosh.
crazy detail.
So you talked about how these, architecture schools kind of focus on, one specific aspect or kind of teaching you that architecture in that way. So what made you pick OSU over other options, or was it that kind of way that they were teaching?
Yeah, so I went to other schools and visited them, and they were very like just I guess very technical about it, like just bare bones, like this is architecture, this is the building. But when I went to OSU, they were really putting an emphasis on like how architecture can make people feel things and can really impact someone's life, and I really liked that and they just seemed like they would allow us to be more free with our designs, and like it doesn't have to look like something that's actually in the real world every day, which I really liked because it's allowed me to like explore my style better and everything, which is so nice.
So it sounds like you have a lot of like creative freedom within your classes.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely encouraged to like push the boundaries on things and like just invent new stuff. Like right now this year we're focusing on like integrating robotics into architecture.
Ooh.
Which is so fun, and like just designing a building where like the walls can move and stuff like that, which I just love. That's the part of architecture that I've really fallen in love with, is like the integration of robotics and architecture, which I would never have thought coming in freshman year.
That's awesome. Can you talk about a project where you had to incorporate that in?
Yeah, so last semester we did like a housing project where we first had to kind of create, because when you're dealing with architecture you have to think about the people that you're like designing for. So we had to create our community first, which is a whole another part of architecture, is like you're designing the people too. So it's like I came up with a community of people who like lost their jobs during the pandemic and wanted to start their own thing, which is literally kind of what I'm doing with my small business. So and like I designed a space where they live in houses that have like workshops at the bottom, and the workshops can like rotate 360 and like do all these things to, like improve mental health and stuff. And then like this year where I'm designing like robotic boats that can move in lakes in a building and like transport vegetables to farmers in inner city Chicago. So it's like large range, highly theoretical like projects, but just really expands your thoughts on like what all is involved in architecture.
That's awesome. That kind of reminds me of, I saw on TikTok this apartment where the bed kind of like can go up into the roof, like the ceiling. Is that kind of is that kind of aligned with?
Isn't that a Murphy bed? Or what,
I don't know,
what are they called?
but that totally reminds me of that.
No, yeah, like there's a project that I really like where there's basically like a square cut out in the floor, and it's made for someone who like maybe can't be as mobile as everyone else, and they can just move on this track that like goes throughout the house, and the square like plugs into the different floors so that they can just move that way without like, it's just giving them a different experience and a better experience, which is awesome.
That sounds so cool.
That's kind of what that bed reminds me of.
See, I would not have thought of any like that aspect in architecture at all. That's so cool to hear.
No, same. When I came in, I was like, I'm going to pick the flooring and like wall colors of all these pretty bedrooms and stuff, and now I'm just like, robots, let's go.
That's awesome.
And I feel like that kind of is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but kind of how architects work in real life, right? Like you're there to come up with the creative ideas and like be collaborative with like the other people on the team to actually make the building happen.
Yeah, exactly. We come in with like the crazy ideas, and then the architectural engineers tell us like, let's reel that in, but let's make it work.
That's awesome. So you kind of mentioned that there are like city planner architects, or like that path, and then there's like the landscaping as well as the structural. Do you have the option to go into like any of those, or are you kind of focused on the structural architecture?
Yeah, so post-grad, since I chose architecture, I could technically probably pick a firm that could let me do some city planning and landscape, but right now I feel just better prepared for the architecture aspect, because there's so many aspects to landscape architecture and city planning that I just have no idea. But it's nice because in my building, the city planners, the landscape architects, and the architects are all together. So you do kind of see the overlap, and you'll all end up working together in future projects anyways. So you definitely get to dip your toes into a lot of that.
Awesome.
So it sounds like there are almost like different sectors or focuses that you can choose within architecture. Yeah,
for sure. Like a lot of people know like residential architecture, really common sector to do. Commercial architecture, so that's like skyscrapers, larger buildings and stuff like that. So, and then like I want to go more into like educational buildings and focus on like psychology between architecture and children and stuff like that. So,
oh wow,
awesome.
Lots of different things you can do.
That's crazy.
Can you tell us about one of your favorite projects that you worked on? It kind of sounds like the one that you just mentioned you were really passionate about, but do you have any other exciting ones?
Oh gosh. Well, it's so hard to like think back, but I honestly really liked we like redid, there's this spot in Columbus that's basically just like a huge parking lot right now, and we turned it into a neighborhood with like a co-working neighborhood where you live there and work there. And then on the site there was an elementary school, and I just got to be like really play around with the elementary school, and like that's what really opened my eyes to thinking about how architecture can like affect your childhood. And I just think that project has a really special place in my heart, because it made me realize, like, yeah, kids shouldn't be learning in these buildings that have, like, cinder block walls.
Right.
Like,
I was just gonna say.
It's, like, does not leave much room for imagination. So that was really cool to explore, like, different types of learning and how architecture can literally affect, like, how school is taught. It's just crazy.
This is kind of random, a question that I just thought while we're having this conversation, but do you ever have to take into consideration like building codes or anything like that, or is it more just creative and we're not really thinking about that side? Or
no, we definitely we have like, so basically the structure of like architecture education is you have this one studio class that's like 6 credit hours typically, and that's your project class, but then you take other classes that teach you everything about code, structure, all that fun stuff. So yeah, definitely, like, you'll propose an idea to your professor, and they'll be like, you absolutely cannot do that. Like, that is not up to code.
Have you ever had an idea that just got shut down because it wasn't up to code? Or
Oh, for sure. Like, oh yeah. Or just, like, you also have to deal with the fact that sometimes you're gonna be told, like, your idea is just ugly. Like,
oh, seriously?
you're gonna really, oh, for sure. Well, because, like, aesthetics is a huge part of it, and, like, sometimes you'll just be told, like, yeah, that design, it's really ugly, and you'll love it, but they'll be like, literally one time I had a professor tell our whole class, like, yeah, you all have bad taste. Like,
oh my gosh.
You have to have a creative eye. And, yeah, it can be, like, a hit to your ego, but, you get there eventually and, like, realize, yeah, that probably was really ugly, and it's fine.
Yeah, so could you go into a little bit more about, like, what the structure of your degree has kind of looked like? Because I know you mentioned you're a senior, so you've kind of, like, gone through the process of getting your degree. You're almost done.
Yeah,
you said there's, like, a project class. So what do your classes kind of look like? Yeah,
so, first year was really light on the architecture classes. I just had, like, you just have a studio class where you basically aren't allowed to use any technology. You have to use your hands, so you have to learn how to hand draft everything. And then you just take, like, a quick introduction to architecture class, teaching about history and stuff. And then the next year, you start to get introduced to the softwares, and we primarily use a program called Rhino 7, which is more like sculptural. I know a lot of schools use CAD and SketchUp, but we don't really dive into that much at OSU. But then, yeah, your next year you just learn about, like, the graphics, so you learn all the Adobe programs, Rhino, you take a couple more history classes. Then your junior year you really hit hard on, like, construction management, structures, materials, like, all the fun stuff about dirt, concrete, all that jazz. And then senior year, you're light again, you take some theory classes, and this semester I'm literally just taking my studio class and then a couple random classes. So very heavy, you're like second and third year, and I think that's the same for most schools. But senior year, right now we're working on a project though that's, like, worth money. Like, it's gonna be a competition, and we're gonna present, and, like, the winner gets money. So that's, like, kind of stressful, but it's okay.
You got this.
Yeah, good luck. Is it like a team project, or is it a solo?
So in our studio classes, like, you're split up into sections, at least here at OSU, with, like, 13 people per class, I'd say. So it's pretty small, but each class can kind of choose what they do, but mine's doing solo, which I like. I'm not a works well with others person. I am, but, like, I prefer not to. When you're designing something, it's just, everyone has different opinions, and you just can't agree sometimes.
Definitely. I feel like that would be so hard. especially with all the emphasis
so
of like that you were talking about how you have to take into consideration like just the aesthetic side of it and how it, you know, these places make people feel and everything. So you mentioned these projects. How long is the duration usually? Is it like a semester like long, or do you have shorter projects?
Yeah, so I'd say leading up to senior year, we did about 2 projects a semester, and then senior year, we've done just one long project, especially with this one being like the final thing, like money at the end. It's definitely just one. And then like in our other classes, we do way smaller scale projects and stuff like that. So, but mostly just one per semester.
If you ever have like artist block on these like projects, how do you go about dealing with that? Because I feel like, especially with something that's a semester long and you're focusing just on that, I feel like it could be so easy to get sick and tired of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times where I just pick up and like delete everything I've done and just start over, but also like professors are really good at getting you out of your rut, where you might be going back to class like 3 times in a row and them just saying like back to the drawing board, and it might get like really monotonous, but yeah, you just kind of have to push through it because it's really fast-paced environment, so you might just like not like what you're doing for a little bit, but then you'll strike something along the way.
Are there so you kind of covered the classroom portion. For anyone who doesn't know anything about architecture, are there like student organizations that you're a part of or that people can join like on campus, or like globally known organizations that people can look into?
Yeah, so there is a large architecture organization. It's a professional organization called AIA, the American Institute for Architects, and at most colleges they have a student branch called AIAS. I'm not in it, so I don't know too much about it, but it's just they do a lot of workshopping with like working on your portfolio, your resume, bringing in guest speakers, and then I'm president of a student org called Surfitecture, where we work with Habitat for Humanity and stuff like that. Just do a bunch of service tasks and stuff like that with architecture, and we're hosting like we always have like a big fashion show where the architecture majors create like outfits out of things that aren't fabric.
Oh wow.
So that's super fun, super creative.
That's awesome.
It's always so fun.
I'm seeing a little connection between your fashion minor and your
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like there's so many connections between fashion and architecture. Like I didn't even know that most like architects design shoes sometimes. Like someone
really?
told me that and I was like, that seems like it makes no sense, but design's just such an umbrella major. Like you can do so much, and like if you have an interest in one portion of design, you're just bound to have an interest in another, I think.
Awesome. Have you had any internships or like any experiences in the workforce in architecture at all?
Yeah, so I was supposed to, I feel like everyone has the same story. I had so many opportunities lined up this summer of 2020, and yeah, fell through. So unfortunately, no, I do not have any internship experience or anything like that, but and like I was supposed to go on a month-long trip to Europe with one of my architecture professors.
That sounds
like,
awesome.
all this stuff. But yeah, it does sound awesome, but didn't get to do it. So, but it's okay. I still have another 2 years after this, so I'll get all my experience in and all that fun stuff.
Is it postponed at all, that trip, or?
It was just completely canceled.
Sad.
But I'm going on a different one. I'm going to Europe, hopefully in May.
That's exciting. Do you know where yet, or are you guys still planning it?
Yeah, so it's through the Alumni Association at my school. So we're going to London, Paris, a bunch of places in Italy, I think mostly Rome, and then ending in Greece.
That's awesome.
So very excited. Never been to Europe.
That'll be so fun.
That's fun.
I want to do a world tour one day.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody needs to do a world tour one day.
I know, and everyone always says, like, you gotta do it in college. It's never gonna be cheaper in college, so I've just always been so gung-ho about it, like, I have to. So, making it happen.
Is it easy to study abroad with an architecture degree, or is it harder just because you have certain classes you kind of need to take in a certain order, or?
Yeah, so you can't take, like, a whole semester long study abroad for sure. Like, I totally, going into school, was like, I am doing the Disney college program.
Oh.
No, you can't. You cannot. Like, you can't do it. You could, but you'd have to take a whole year off because they only teach certain classes in the fall and spring, so you'd just be behind. But I went on, like, a short little spring break study abroad trip, and that was a good taste, so it ended up working out.
You dipped your toes in.
Yeah, exactly. Went to Chile. So fun.
Ooh.
Yeah.
World traveler.
Indeed.
You mentioned that you have 2 years left. So do you have to do some sort of grad school as an architect major?
Yeah, so you definitely don't have to. But if you want to sign off on projects or work by yourself, start your own firm, you have to have a master's in architecture. So I'm going to go get my master's. I think a lot of my professors, like, describe the difference as, like, a physician and a physician's assistant. So it's like, do you want someone, like, watching over you, or do you want to be the person watching over everyone? So I'm definitely a girl boss, so I will be getting my master's. But
amazing, we love that. Would you want to open your own firm eventually?
I know a lot of I don't have any aspirations for what I want to do with my life yet, to be honest. Like, well, I have so many that it's like I can't narrow it down to one goal or one dream, but I could definitely see myself doing that. Like, I have the mindset of being my own boss already, so it's like I think I could definitely see myself in that position.
Speaking of being your own boss, you have a very successful small business. I shouldn't even say small business. It's a large business at this point.
Oh, shucks.
Can you kind of explain, because it sounds like, you know, with architecture, you have so many responsibilities within your classes.
Yeah.
How did you even have time to, like, start this business of yours? And can you explain what you do with your business?
Yeah, so basically, summer of 2020, when everything was supposed to happen, I was like, I'm bored. And I saw a TikTok. I literally think it was one of Allie's TikToks, Allie Roseco on Instagram.
Oh, really?
I think I saw one of hers. Like, I swear, she was, like, doing a sticker making TikTok. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, just, like, my mom and I went in on a Cricut together and, like, did our thing. And I just grinded away that summer. I was like, I'm going to make this happen. So, like, I dedicated all my time to my business. And then coming back to school, it was definitely a hard balance, but it was made a little easier since my schooling was all online for my entire junior year. So it was a little easier to be all online for my small business and for class. But senior year, it's been rough. I've been posting during class, probably prioritizing things I shouldn't. There have been days where I get home from class and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to ship orders like 3 days ago. So it's definitely like a little harder this year, but it's just something that I'm so passionate about that I don't think of it as like a chore. It's like something I get home from school and I want to do it. So thankfully it still feels that way. So that's what's been helping me like keep it going.
Awesome. How was it taking architecture classes remotely? Was that a tough transition?
It's awful. Like, to put it plainly, it's like, it was because like you have to have the like large software on your personal laptop.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So my laptop was going through it like terrible, overheating like every 5 minutes, just awful.
Making noise.
oh yeah, so loud. And all my roommates are architecture majors, so our Wi-Fi was like crashing because we all had class at the same time. Like, we have the same exact schedules, so that was pretty interesting, but our professors are really good at like prioritizing mental health. So
that's
they took
awesome.
it like a lot easier on us and were very gracious with like, hey, I literally couldn't get my computer to work, and they'd be like, okay, it's cool. But yeah, it was definitely hard. Not even with just like the programs, but mentally, like, especially with my small business being all online, to be all online for school too, it was a lot. And I'm sure a lot of people had that same experience.
Yeah. Jeez. So typically, like, you know, without having to be online, with all these big softwares, would you guys be in like big computer labs where you had all these screens to work on? I'm sure it was so much nicer than trying to work on your small laptop.
Yeah, so we have like a really large studio space where everyone has their own desk, their own computer, like with laser cutters, laser labs, 3D printers, anything you can think of, it's there. But then, yeah, at home, you're building a model with printer paper, and
Jeez.
your computer is 5 years old and crusty, so.
How big are the architecture classes, like, per year? Do you have a lot, or are they kind of smaller?
Well, very small in terms of the fact that I go to OSU. It's like 75 people in one class, which is insane because my class at OSU is, I don't even know how much, a lot of people.
Definitely huge.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'd say it's probably like, I think, yeah, on the smaller side.
That's so nice that they could give you your own station, though, your own like computer.
It's so nice. Yeah, and a lot of schools don't do that. That's also why I chose OSU, because, well, pretty much every architecture school you get your own desk, but OSU was the only one that I toured that gave us computers. So I was like,
that's so nice.
Yeah.
I know.
Every department just give you all the tools you need. Every school should be like that.
Literally, you pay so much.
Yeah. Wow. So you mentioned that it's pretty useful for architecture majors to go on to get their masters. Are there any other like certifications out there that someone who's interested in architecture should be aware of, or is it really just the masters that you should be striving for?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely have like a super successful architecture career with no masters at all. But I'd say looking into getting LEED, LEED certified is a really good place to start, because you can just take a lot of classes on sustainability, which is going to be huge in the architecture world. I mean, pretty much in any industry with engineering, sustainability is definitely going to be a big focus. So I'd definitely say looking into getting your certification for being LEED certified is a big thing. But then also, like, if you want to go get your master's in I know a lot of people do like interior design, so that they have like undergrad in architecture and then they're certified interior designers, so they can have both. You can do anything. But yeah, definitely the LEED certification for sure.
Do you know what that stands for? Like, for anyone who doesn't know what it is?
Like,
or, like
me?
Can you
Like me?
elaborate a little more?
It's, so, let me do a quick Google.
Let's pull up the good old Google.
Libby's like, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm like, me right now.
Me?
So, LEED certification is a globally recognized symbol of sustainability achievement and leadership. LEED is for all building types and all building phases, including new construction, interior fit-outs, operations and maintenance, and core and shell. So it's basically just, there's a big, broader LEED for a building. So your building can be like platinum, gold, whatever, certified, and that's just like the level of sustainability, and you can pay to get your building tested for that. But then can't find anything. You can, if you would like to cut me doing this Googling, you can, but I can't find anything for like single people being LEED certified, but I know you can take classes on it and stuff and get a certificate that basically is just saying, I know how to build a sustainable building.
That's so. Like, you said earlier that there's a lot of like, or maybe it was you, Lexi, that there's a lot of like things that go with fashion. Like sustainability is a big thing, I feel like, in fashion too.
Oh yeah.
Is this something that you would want to pursue? Like a LEED certification?
Definitely, yeah. I've looked into it a couple times. It just costs money. So once I get some money, I will definitely
some cash
be doing
money.
that. Yeah.
Once you win the project money, there you go. You can go get it.
Oh yeah. There's no way.
Manifesting it for you.
Thank you.
Keep us
That'd be
updated.
awesome yes, that'd be awesome if a woman got it, but who knows?
Oh, is it typically not like past winners? Is it typically male?
I think it's pretty spread out, but my class has a lot of men in it, which is pretty typical in architecture. I'd say of all the STEM majors, architecture definitely has like a good balance of men and women, but it's still, you look around the room and you're like, I'm a little scared, but
Yeah.
You're like, we're gonna have different aesthetic ideas.
exactly, yeah, and like my drawings are all pink and pretty and not like black and white sometimes,
Yeah.
but that's like highly encouraged anyways to have like super colorful drawings and stuff. So
Have you ever
it's worked
been
out.
in a situation where you've been in kind of a male dominated group where you've kind of thrown out an idea and they're like, no way, we're not doing that?
Honestly, no. Like everyone's kind of supportive.
Oh,
That's good.
At Ohio State. More so a situation maybe where like in history class, you're not gonna learn about female architects. Like it just wasn't
That's
a
so
thing.
sad.
Like it's
Yeah.
so
But-
new for
Yeah.
a woman to be an architect. So it's like that was something very jarring to me, is just waiting, like, when am I gonna learn about women? Oh, okay, never. All right.
Wow.
But honestly, we haven't done a lot of group work, so it's like I haven't had the opportunity for my ideas to be shut down, but it happens in the world. I'm sure you guys know.
Yep.
Wow, that's so sad about, like, I didn't even think about, like, learning about history in architecture, and you just don't really see that representation very much.
No, not all. And like that's what's nice. OSU's getting there for sure. Like we have specialized classes now, at least with learning about people of color finally, because it's like it's always just white men.
These old
We're just
white
learning
guys.
about old white guys building things, and I'm in like Europe, and I'm like, aren't there cool pieces of architecture like other places? Like,
Yeah.
I want to learn about other places. So finally, like, I think OSU's always been good about that, but they've really been honing that in, and I think that's a great step. But obviously, you can't rewrite history and add women, but it's okay, because I'll just be in her history book one day. So it's
Yeah.
I
They'll
was
be
gonna
talking
say-
about you.
fine. Yeah.
Well, do you have any exciting projects or launches coming up with your small business?
Yes, so I have been working with Casetify for a couple months now,
Oh my
and
gosh,
my
that's such a
collection.
big brand.
I know. I got an email from them, and I like literally cried
Oh my
because, like, all the YouTubers I watch and stuff are always promoting Casetify and stuff, and I've just always loved them. So they reached out to me and like asked me to curate my own collection for them. So it'll be 8 cases, 2 AirPod cases, and 2 Apple Watch bands,
Wow.
all available on the 24th.
So exciting.
When you got that email, were you just like, oh, this is spam? Or like, what was
No,
your rea-
literally,
What was your reaction?
I literally, like, so it was during winter break, and I live at home during winter break, and I immediately just, like, ran into my mom's room and was like, Mom, you will not believe this. I have made it. I was
Hollywood
so excited.
is calling.
Literally, let's pack our bags. Let's move to LA. Come on. So exciting. And they've been so nice throughout the whole process, too. So it's great. They're a great company.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's probably so
Thank
good to
you.
hear after, like you said, your senior year coming back to in-person classes. It was just so overwhelming. So it was probably such a nice
Yes.
little, not a relief, but just, you know, you can see that you're putting your work into something that it's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
It's awesome when like you get those emails that just make your heart like jump. Like I'm sure with content creation too, it's just like you hear from this brand and you're like, you like
They
you get that
noticed
sudden
me.
boost of creativity and you're like motivated to keep going. It's awesome.
So did they give you like complete, I don't know if you're allowed to talk about this, but did they give you like complete creative freedom to just do whatever designs you wanted?
Yeah, they just gave me complete creative freedom. They like sent me a couple of my Instagram posts that they were like, hey, we really like this post you made, like we would consider putting it on a case, but for the most part they were just like, do what you want.
Wow.
We like your stuff, so just do what you want. And it's so exciting. I'll have my own little like tab on the Casetify website.
That's so exciting.
DesignedbyBlythe
I can't wait
tab.
to see.
Yeah, so if people listening to this want to go purchase your cases, where can they go? Just to the Casetify website and find your tab?
Yeah, so they can go to the Casetify website and they have like a tab of artists that they've worked with, and I'll just be listed as Designed by Blythe. And then I'll also have the link in my Instagram bio, which is at DesignedbyBlythe.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. Little girl boss.
Girl
Literally.
bossing. Too close to the sun.
Honestly, way too close to the sun. My head's gonna get so big.
That's okay. Just keep them coming. Keep the brand deals coming.
I've sent like my friends PR packages for it, and I'm just like, yeah, maybe you can buy me a drink at the bar since you know. I sent you PR, so.
You're like that case
that's
yeah.
on your phone.
I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that.
remember that case that I sent you? I think that might be worth a little something, so.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see the AirPod cases. I didn't know that Casetify had that, or the Apple Watches either. Is that new or is it? Yeah.
I think it's fairly new. Like, I think they've really expanded to, like, a lot of different things. I know they have, like, the little, like, what are they? Like, the little necklaces for your phone.
Oh, like the
Oh, like a
lanyard.
charm?
Yeah,
lanyard
they have
charm
those
thing?
too, and they're really cute with all the, like, beads and stuff. So
Oh.
they're really expanding their stuff. I was really surprised.
Awesome. Were you overwhelmed when they said, you go for it, you give us designs, or do you like having that freedom, or do you like kind of having some direction of what they liked? Did you like that, or?
Yeah, so I definitely appreciated like the kind of them pushing me in like a little bit of a direction so I could kind of get inspo for like I know what I would like on a phone case, but I have no idea what other people would want because that's just totally I don't think I'll ever personally like dip my own toes into like tech accessories because I'm just not quite big enough yet. But I uploaded and deleted so many designs before I finally like locked this one down. So it's still like it's because there's always that like thought of like, oh well I could make something better, but
Yeah.
I love everything I made, so I'm really excited.
Awesome.
Do you see a future with, because you're going to get your master's, do you see like Designed by Blythe intertwining with the architecture future, or what do you think?
I'd really love it too. Like I've always been a person that is like I cannot just do one thing.
Welcome to
So
the club,
I'm
girl.
hoping- yeah, I'm hoping there's a future where, cause like I also have started like dipping a little, like not even all my toes, just like maybe like one into content creation too. So I'm just like, I want a world where I'm designing buildings, I'm creating content, and I have my own little like storefront. So
It'll
I don't
happen.
know if like I would be working like 24/7 probably, but it sounds fun. So
You're gonna come out with a fashion line next.
oh totally.
A sustainable fashion line?
There you
Oh,
go.
well,
Oh,
We got the
I see
hoodie.
that. I see that hoodie. Well, Lexi, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up with Blythe?
I think we had one question actually from our Instagram poll that we wanted to
Ooh.
read out loud, and it was kind of talking about industry, things in architecture. So they want to know, how do architects pursue projects? Like, do they send out a proposal to clients, or do clients kind of reach out to the firm or maybe the architect themselves, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, so that's not something we totally learn yet. I know that that's a class that I'll learn in my master's degree, but from what I've kind of understood from like office visits and stuff, it seems like it's a little bit of both. Like, obviously, if you're a big architect, people are gonna come to you. So, but also, like, it's about who you know, too. Like, how I mentioned with you working with landscape architects and city planners, like, it's a lot of that. So, like, a landscape architect might be like, hey, I'm doing a project right now. I know we've worked together before. Do you want to hop on? And then the client has basically all the say on, like, finalizing things. So that's another issue with architecture too, is like you do have to give up a lot of your creative freedom when working with clients, but
yeah, like
good.
I'm sure you have like something in your mind that you probably think would look so good, and then the client could clash and be like, no, do it this way.
Or like, yeah, and like monetarily too, they just might not have enough of a budget to do what you want. So there's definitely that too.
Awesome. Well, I totally didn't know that at all. That was a good question. So I kind of want to know that
myself. Yeah, that was a really good question. I like barely know about that. We do not get into like the business side of things that much.
Yeah, I was going to say there's probably a whole thing with like budgets and actually making money, because I guess that's why people do this, is to make money. But yeah, probably all that we haven't even touched the surface with, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, there's so much to learn, and that's why in class we're always told like you're gonna learn so much when you're actually in the industry. Like once you get in the industry is when you'll really start learning things.
Well, once you start work, you'll have to come back and talk to us and tell us all about it.
Well, I think to wrap it up, and this is a question that we plan to ask all of our guests, is if there was one piece of advice you could give your younger self, so whether that is like your younger high school self or earlier in college, what's that one piece of advice you could give her?
Oh, I would definitely tell my high school self to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Like, I've struggled with anxiety for so long that it's like in high school, I would just way overthink what other people are thinking or how certain decisions would affect my future career, and I would just like dive way too far deep into school. So I just tell my like past self to calm down and enjoy life. It'll be okay, and you'll get to where you need to be just by like being yourself and doing your best. So definitely, calm down.
Well, thank you, Blythe, for being on the podcast. And
yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm hoping, this is so cool because I don't know anything about architecture. I think this is so awesome that we could have someone who knows about architecture on the podcast. If people want to find you, plug yourself, where can they follow you on socials?
Yeah, so if you want to follow my business, it's at DesignedbyBlythe, and then my personal Instagram is @_lifewithBlythe_.
That was an amazing interview. Thank you again to Blythe for joining us on the My Best Friends and Engineer podcast. Again, to our listeners, if there's like an industry, a male-dominated industry, or someone that you guys are interested in hearing talk, please let us know, because, I mean, we have so much fun interviewing these people because there's only so many experiences we can talk about.
I mean, we can talk a lot. You guys can probably tell, but it's just so much better.
Thank goodness we have a podcast.
I know, right?
We can talk.
But it's just so exciting to hear other stories, and especially different industries. Architecture, I never thought I would have been able to talk to someone and learn all that other aspects that I never even thought about.
Yeah. So I hope you guys liked this episode too. And if you did, we would really appreciate it if you could share it on your social media. We do have that little survey, the Google survey, where you can be entered in a giveaway. We are going to do a $100 Visa gift card giveaway, and then you can also get our templates. So if you share it, please make sure you screenshot it and then just send it into that survey, and we will send you the templates, and you'll be entered in the giveaway.
Yes, and stay tuned for the Facebook group that we mentioned earlier this episode. We'll do an Instagram post about that, and then hopefully get a nice little link tree where all of our links can be added and easily accessible.
Yeah, I just am so excited about this Facebook group because I'm just also envisioning, like, I don't know, what if you move to a new city and you need a roommate or something, and you want a roommate who has, like, a similar job to you? Instead of just, like, putting it out into the universe, you could come to our little Instagram community. Oh, wait, no. Facebook community.
And Instagram, too.
Facebook. And Instagram, yeah. So, hopefully you guys can find some value in that Facebook group.
Awesome. All right, shall we do our little thing?
Oh, should we say where to follow us?
Oh, yes, we could do that too. Okay. So follow us on Instagram and on TikTok, My Best Friend's an Engineer.
And then our YouTube, if you want to listen over there, is at BFE Podcast.
My personal Instagram and TikTok is Engineer Lexi.
And my personal Instagram and TikTok is Libby B on the label. And I think that's another wrap on another good episode. Episode 8.
We gotta do the outro though at the same time, remember?
Oh, do I remember? Okay. Are we ready?
I think so. I don't know. Okay, ready?
Okay. You begin.
Okay.
I can't.
It's like, wait, what do I say? All right. I'm Lexi.
I'm Libby.
And thanks for listening to My Best Friend's an Engineer.
My Best Friend's an Engineer.
Libby's just dying over there. She's like squealing. She's like hyperventilating.
I can't. Why is it so funny? It's not.
No, it's not.
It's so funny.